Anisa, we can start now.
Good evening, one and all. My name is Anisa Nasser. I am a final year law student at Government Law College, Thrissur. With immense pleasure and joy, I welcome all of you to this wonderful evening. We are starting the second day of our internship on legal journalism. The fragrance of flowers spreads only in the direction of wind, but the goodness of a person spreads in all directions. Today, we have some of such wonderful persons with us. I am profoundly delighted to take this opportunity to welcome our eminent resource persons to this program. Today, we have two honorable guests with us. First of all, I would like to welcome K J, sir, who is a senior journalist in Deccan Chronicle, which is one of the leading newspapers in India. Sir will be talking with us about the need for legal journalism. Next, I would like to welcome Advocate RASHEELA, who is an advocate in taxation and also a co-founder and editor in TaxScan. Ma'am will be talking with us regarding the scope and opportunities in legal journalism. With immense pleasure and joy, I welcome you, ma'am. Next, I welcome Safi Mohan, sir, who is the backbone of LJRF and also an assistant professor at Government Law College, Trivandrum. I welcome you, sir. Next, I welcome Raniyal Niyada, who is the convener of the program and editor-in-chief of LJRF. Last but not least, I welcome each and every one of you to this wonderful evening. Now, I welcome K J Jacobs sir to commence the session. I hand over the podium to you, sir.
I'll start.
Yes, sir.
Am I seen? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
And my camera is on? No.
No, sir, not yet.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
No, I'm there now.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll start. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'm so happy that I'm invited to talk to budding lawyers who could be journalists one day, hopefully. I'm not a lawyer. I did not study law also, but I get invited to talk to lawyers sometime. I've talked in Government Law College, Ernakulam, Trivandrum, and in Thrissur. This is basically because I think anybody with a bit of common sense can speak about the law, about law. That's why I think I get invited. Raniyal is a friend of mine. I think that's why she invited me to this gathering. And second thing is that I think most of the attendees are from Kerala, and the relationship between journalists and lawyers is not all that great here. So I would love to have more of you joining the press as journalists, so that we'll have a better relationship. Now, the need for legal journalism is a larger topic. I can only say that we will be touching upon some of the aspects of journalism where we feel, or that there is a felt need for a thorough understanding of the law, vis-a-vis the complete ignorance of the same. So journalists, especially great editors, two of the attributes of great editors that I have noticed, there are two attributes. One is a sense of history. The second is a sense of the law. A sense of history is very essential for a journalist, and there is a dearth of that. There's a felt need for a better sense of history there in the field of journalism now. And also there is a need for there's a felt need of better legal understanding of how this country is run, And that is where the scope of legal journalism is. Journalism is called the fourth pillar of a democratic government. If you look at them, all the three, I mean, I don't subscribe to that argument that journalism is the fourth pillar. I don't think so, because the other three are very legitimate, legal entities. That is the main difference. We are not. But still, journalism and the press play a role in defining public opinion, which is the essence of democracy. That is where our role. So I'd call it. It's not a real fourth pillar. It's an imaginary fourth pillar, any which way. The first three pillars, when the legislature they make the laws, and the executive is supposed to go by the law, and the judiciary, it's all about the law. So whether they break the law, whether they observe the law, every action of the first, the main three pillars of government are based on the law. And we, journalists, are supposed to comment on the first three. Then you know that how important is legal journalism. The moment we start commenting on the first three, the basis of our comment should be the law. That is where we are supposed to place the Constitution and the law, and the written and unwritten democratic precincts, and then we are supposed to assess the actions of the three pillars of government and tell the people what's happened. Our benchmark should be not the individual ideas of the journalist or the editor. We are supposed to place the actions and activities of the first three pillars against the law and the Constitution, and tell the people these are the stuff that are happening. Unfortunately, that is not done up to the mark. That's my experience. That's why when Raniyal suggested, I gladly agreed to that point, because I feel there is a great need for more people with better understanding of the law to come into the field of journalism, so that we have a better informed society. In a democracy, at the end of the day, it is the people who decide things for themselves. They decide who should rule them, what should be the law that our lawmakers should make. So for the people to take an informed decision, they should be told what's happening, and we are in the business of that. When we tell you, when we tell the larger population, when we tell the citizenry, we tell them this is what the Constitution says, this is what the law says, and this is what's happening. That will give the people a better understanding of what's happening, and help them decide what is right and what is wrong. What's happening now is that doesn't happen. The journalists or the media often fails to place the actions of the three pillars against our Constitution and the law, and they go by whatever they feel like. They refuse to go into the legal details of the happenings, and hence the people get a half-cooked information, and they take their decisions based on that. That's one of the perils of our democracy, I feel. And this can change only when people with better understanding of the law come into the field and inform our people better. I can tell you 2 or 3 instances. I think most of you are from Kerala. I mean, I'm not specifically referring to what's happening in Kerala, but still, I'll tell you 2 examples. One is the Supreme Court judgments in the Rafale case and in the Pegasus case. These are the 2 classic examples, I would say, when people were not sufficiently informed about the decisions of the Supreme Court. If that were the case, I think if the people were told the comparative merits of these two judgments, our people's idea of how our governments are run would have been a lot better. If you remember, in the Rafale case, the allegation, they went to some eminent people went to the Supreme Court asking for a proper investigation into the allegations of corruption. And the argument they had was that there is something called a defense procurement procedure. It's a rule. It's not a law. It's not the Constitution. It's a rule passed by the Ministry of Defense. That is the rule as per defense purchases are made in our country. The allegation was that the rules were bent while signing that contract. Allegations of corruptions were there. That's the second part. The first part was that there were breaking of the rules to sign the contract. And we know that the Hindu newspaper came out with a series of reports with the proof saying that there were several instances of breaking of the rules in the deal. I'm not going into the corruption part of it because we don't have proof for that. But there were the documents that Mr. N. Ram, then editor of the Hindu, produced and published. They were clearly indicating that there were one of the DPP, the Defense Procurement Procedure, was very clear that there should be no political interference at the decision-making process. And Ram's documents proved that there was interference. So this was the first case. The Supreme Court refused to order an inquiry into it, saying that it's a matter that's concerning with the national security. And look at the Pegasus case. In the Pegasus case, the union government said the same thing. It's about national security. And if you remember, anybody of you have gone through that Supreme Court judgment, the Supreme Court said very plainly that you can't use that band of national security and then ask everybody to shut up. That's not done. And it also said one more thing. If citizens have a fear that they have been snooped, their communications are compromised, then they will introduce a kind of self-censorship that will undermine rule of law, that will undermine democracy. Because we have a right to privacy, that's a fundamental right now. After that Putaya case, it's a fundamental right. So when that is compromised, what happens is that in a democracy, everybody is supposed to speak their mind. Whether we speak the mind or not, we are supposed to speak our mind. We should have the freedom. Whether we exercise that freedom or not is a secondary question. We should have the right but to exercise our rights. So the Supreme Court was very clear in that now when a citizen, because the allegation was that about 100 the telephones of about 100 persons were compromised. The communication was compromised. So what happens is that now journalists, people in opposition, but people even in the ruling dispensation, they get a bit of edgy when it comes to communicating, because they are not sure whether their conversation is compromised or not. What happens is that that's what the Supreme Court, the usage was self-censorship. And the Supreme Court said that is not unacceptable. So we are issuing an order for an investigation. We don't know whether that investigation will be a successful investigation, whether it will produce some fruit. We don't know. But one thing is there, the Supreme Court forever, at least for the time being, has told the union government that they cannot use national security as a magic wand and and seal every avenue of people's expressions of the people's right to speech and the right to free speech. So that in the first case, in the Rafale case, there were allegations and there were proof that there was breaking of the rule. In Pegasus case, the allegation is much beyond that. It's about it's the breach of constitutional right to speech and expression. And the Supreme Court said we are going to investigate it. I think I haven't seen a single report comparing these two. I still feel that this needs to be studied by journalists, by lawyers, and because this has advanced. I mean, the second case, in the Pegasus case, the Supreme Court has practically taken. It has taken a very advanced position when it comes to fundamental rights vis-a-vis the right of the government. That's, I think, similar could be. I wish the same will be the approach of the government in the media one case also, because that again is about the union government comes and says that it's about national security, and the honorable judge of the Kerala High Court says Atri Samhita. Now the judge goes not by the Constitution of India, but by some Vedic time document to define the role of the state and national security, and he says that everything is fine and that media should be shut. I'm not expressing my personal opinion about that particular media organization. I'm talking about their legal rights and constitutional rights. So my point is that when courts come up with landmark judgments, we need people with the real sense of the law and of the Constitution to tell people that when the Supreme Court advances the frontiers of our rights, we need real good journalists to tell them that. So I often feel that we need more lawyers to come into the field, and so that because our idea about the law and the Constitution, I mean, common people's law idea about the law and the Constitution is very, very minimal. Now, you all study the law now. What happens is that most of you have gone for an LLB course after your +2. During till your +2, you must have studied every single subject under the sun. You must have studied maths, physics, chemistry, botany, geology, history, everything you must have studied, but not a single period of the law. I haven't studied. Once I discussed this matter with Justice K T Thomas. So I asked him, why is it that even the basics of the law are not taught in schools and at the +2 level at least, only at the graduate level? He told me that law is a very nuanced subject. Everybody won't understand it. It's very tough because law governs every human activity in every society which has rule of law. So the nuances are tough to understand for a teenager, and it takes certain kind of maturity to understand the law. I don't know whether he is right or not, but I give it to him because he understands law better than me. But it's a fact that we don't study law at all. But still, as a nation, we run as per the law and the Constitution. The fact of the matter is that we don't have many people, informed people about the law to tell a citizen that what's happening is legal, lawful or not. I'll come to the second case. I'll refer to, most of you will be aware of of the gold smuggling case that was reported extensively in the media last year. I'm not going again into the merit of the case, but as a person who was very closely following that case and who used to write in the social media about it, my suggestion to you as lawyers and have an interest in journalism, I would like all of you to collect the court documents and go through it. We don't have any judgment yet. The trial has not happened. But there are a series of reports. The three investigating agencies were investigating that case: the National Investigating Agency, the Indian Customs, and the Department of Enforcement, the Director of Enforcement. So these three agencies were investigating in that case, and they all submitted several reports before several courts, in front of the PMLA court in Kochi, in NIA court, and in the High Court. I'll tell you one abuse and misuse of the law. You all know that PMLA, the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, is a special act, and it gives a lot of leeway to the investigating agency. You know that a statement given to an investigating agency, the police, if the police is the investigating agency, that's not admissible in a court of law. But as per Section 45, I think, of PMLA Act, a statement given to an officer above, to an officer of the rank of assistant director or above, is admissible before the law. And I was looking at the charge sheets given to the accused. You know, anybody who knows or who has followed the case know that the National Investigating Agency, NIA, raided 2 lockers in 2 banks in Trivandrum. They seized 65 lakh rupees from one locker and 34 lakh rupees from another locker. And in the charge sheet given to one of the accused, that is Swapna Suresh, the enforcement told the court that she has admitted to her role in smuggling of gold, and this money she has, the money that was seized from a bank in Trivandrum was an ill-gotten money, and she got that money through smuggling of gold, which is a scheduled offense as per the PMLA Act. Let me repeat: the money that NIA seized from a bank locker was ill-gotten money as per PMLA Act, and she got it through a scheduled offense, that is smuggling of gold. And in the charge sheet given to Mr. M. Shivashankar, one of the other accused, in the charge sheet, the same agency, Enforcement Directorate, told the same court, the PMLA court, that the same money which NIA seized from a Trivandrum locker was collected as bribe in a government project and meant for Mr. Shivashankar. Look at the way that the agency conducted its investigation in a state like Kerala. When I was chasing that story, I found in a Supreme Court judgment, a Supreme Court judge, I think he was a Chief Justice of the Supreme Court then, Justice Kehar. He was either a judge or a Supreme Court. I mean, he was the Chief Justice. He practically castigated the agency for telling lies. Now, something like was happening in Kerala. I'm not going into the merit again. I have no brief for any of the accused in that case. I was just looking at this contradictory facts. Same agency, because the PMLA Act gives the agency the right to present before the court statement of the accused as evidence. If Swapna Suresh admits that she got this money through smuggling, it need not go for corroborative evidence. It gives the agency the right to produce it as evidence. The same agency goes to the same court and says the same money came through some other means. This is the way the law is abused by agencies in our land. Let me clarify that I hold no brief for any of the accused, I have no value judgment. I'm not sitting in judgment of any of the actions. But the only fact is that this central agency was actually telling the court a lie, because there cannot be two truths. There can be only one truth. Either the charge sheet given to Ms. Swapna Suresh is a lie, or the one given to Mr. Shivashankar is a lie. That's a clear abuse of law. What happens is that we don't have journalists going into these details and coming out with the clear facts and telling people that this is the way this agency is conducting its business in Kerala. Now, again, Enforcement Directorate is an important agency, very important agency in our system of governance, because the other day, I think last week, there was a case in the Supreme Court, and the agency and the government of India told the Supreme Court that this financial crimes, the white collar crimes are not the routine criminal cases, even a murder that can happen at the spur of the moment. But this white collar crimes or financial crimes are very premeditated crimes, and they should be dealt with very seriously. The court cannot have two opinions about it. I also don't have two opinions about it. But the fact of the matter is that cannot become a reason for legislating such laws with the loopholes, such provisions for the agencies to misuse. This is unless, the two things are happening. One is that if this is not pointed out, the agency will not be able to do its professional job. The agency's job was to identify where the root of that money and tell the court that the money came through this route. Because we need to, only when we know that this is the route through which this money has come, that we can plug it, so that we will become a better society. That is why we have enforcement, we have investigating agencies. When the investigating agency doesn't do its job and it misuses the law to circumvent its job, to bypass its job, it is the job of the journalist, it is the job of the editor to tell the people. We can't tell the court, but we can tell the people that this is what's happening. I think journalists miserably failed in that job. So what happens is that the agencies all over the world, all over India, go about this kind of shoddy investigation. They go to courts with the shabby evidence, and the conviction rate is maybe 0.5% or 1% or 2%. So this is one of the instances where investigating agencies misuse the law and nobody notices it. And they go back to the Supreme Court and tells them that the agencies tell the court that, please don't dilute the law, please don't tighten the law, please don't give too much of freedom to citizens or to the accused. The court was asking them, what is the guarantee that you want them to keep them? Because I think, again, the bail conditions in PMLA Act is, they are very tough. It asks the court to convince himself. I mean, for any judge, it's very difficult for him to release a person on bail, because only when he has a reasonable feeling that the man is innocent, that he can give bail to an accused. So the Supreme Court was telling the agency, the Attorney General the Solicitor General was appearing for the union government, and they told them that we also have to balance the rights of the accused. You can keep them in jail for months on end with no proof, because the bail conditions are so tight. So the same is the case with UAPA Act. UAPA, that in the case of two boys from Calicut, I feel that the Sessions Judge gave a remarkable judgment. He interpreted the Constitution properly and gave bail, and the High Court did not feel it right. It cancelled the bail, and when it went to the Supreme Court said, prima facie, there is no case excess. So only when a court comes to a conclusion that there is no prima facie case that an accused in a UAPA case can be given bail. So what I'm not talking about of the bail conditions. I'm talking about how the agencies misuse such powers, how the government misuse the powers. They need to be told to the people. At the end of the day, the law is a reflection of the thinking of society. So if we need better laws, if we need our agencies to do their professional job, if we want our agencies not to dare misuse such laws, if we want our agencies to do a professional job of it, we need to understand what they are doing. To report, to understand what they have been doing, we need people with better understanding of the law to come into the profession of journalism. This is what I feel. The large sense, unless we can question the agencies of the government based on the law, based on the constitution, they will go on violating every single law, every single article in the constitution, and we will become a less of a democracy. If we were to remain as a democracy, we need to examine the doings of the government and its agencies from the point of view of the law and of the constitution. And every day, if you're looking at the newspapers, reports from courts, the direct, even now, I think even trial proceedings, hearings, and important, because they are all going live. I think fortunately, there are several websites being run by lawyers are there, like Live Law. So they come up with real good articles about what's happening in courts and that is the scope. I think every newspaper should be approaching matters of the law from the same seriousness, from the same understanding, from the same knowledge base as the Live Law or bar and bench do. This should be the way court should be reported. This should be the way ideas should be assessed. There's a problem. The problem is that a bar and bench or Live Law, they report only the court. We people in journalism, our job is to place this High Court judgment or Supreme Court judgment or any court judgment and place the government or what the government does and tell the people what is right and what's wrong. Every day, there will be at least one. You take any important newspaper, there will be one ruling or one order, one judgment of a High Court or a Supreme Court on front page or inside page. I write editorials for my paper. There are weeks when I commented on 2 Supreme Court judgments in a single week. They are so important. Whether sometimes we criticize it, sometimes we support it, any which way, they become so important in our scheme of things. So we need people with a better sense of the law to come into the profession so that our reports become better, our people, our citizens are informed better, so our decisions are taken with a better informed background. That is the whole case about more journalists coming into the profession of journalism. So I think I've basically introduced my topic. This is what, as an editor, when I look at things, I wholeheartedly welcome the idea of more journalists coming into the profession of journalism, because that will make our profession better, our information better, our reports better, and the collective knowledge of a society becomes better. That will make our democracy a better, more sustainable entity. Thank you very much. And I think I'll welcome questions. It's 6:35. I thought I'd talk for 40 minutes. I think I'm done with it. I can talk for any number of minutes, but I think I'll make it an open session. Please ask me questions. They can be directly related to what I've said or topics of related to journalism.
Good evening, sir. It was a pleasure to hear you out, and like taking the case laws in person and then sharing your experience with it. Everything was like really superb. So my question is, like, we definitely know that media has like become more like puppets to the government and is so much under the pressure of the government and forced to act in the way that the government wants, or they are shut down like the experience media one had recently. So other than this press freedom issue, what are the other major issues that journalists face? Or can you please share some of your experiences which you as a journalist face in your profession?
No, that I think that I'll be digressing from. I mean, this is a problem. I mean, sorry, this is a question that a journalist faces in every gathering. That's too large a question. But I wanted to tell you one thing. I studied journalism. I did a postgraduate course in journalism. I also did a diploma in journalism. All that we studied in my postgraduate course was the basics about defamation law and libel and contempt of court. That was done, and our study of the law was done with that. In the diploma course, which I did in Trivandrum Press Club, we had a better understanding of it. We had a a teacher from the Law Academy teaching us the Constitution. Constitution not in its full, but I think he covered the fundamental rights. I think till about Article 50 or so. So that gave us a basic understanding of the Constitution. And I studied my Constitution later and the law later on my own. The problem is that journalists don't study the law. That's a serious issue. So we in our curriculums, if you look at it, the curriculum about on law is very minimal. It talks about basics, very basics of it. That's why most journalists even don't know what's the difference between a rule and the law and the Constitution. So that's a very serious. There exists a very serious lacuna in legal knowledge. And to you, your question is a very large question. As you said, every media is under far too many pressure. This point in time, 10 years ago, that was not the case. Now there's a lot of market pressure on every editor. So it's very difficult for any media to question the government and survive. It's very difficult. We have, as of now, as of today, we have a reasonable amount of freedom as editors. But I know that I'll be telling you a lie when I say that there is no impact, there is no influence of the government on us. There is. So some people make it to the page one every day. Some innocuous statements are given undue importance, even in a paper like mine, which is supposed to be a liberal and anti-government paper. So that question is a very dicey one. Every journalist faces this issue, starting from the cub reporter to the editor. We are under pressure. We are under pressure because the readers are unwilling to pay the price for good journalism. A channel like Live, I don't know how long will they survive. P.V. Dinesh is a friend of mine. He used to tell me that they used to find it extremely difficult to survive because they have been ruthless in their approach to the government. So so every media organization is under pressure. Some are. I can tell you one simple example. When we had an office in Kochi, we had a new editor. So I was taking him into our office. On the steps of our office, there used to be a dog lying there. I introduced the dog to my editor and told him, "This is the watchdog of the watchdog." Then he told me, "Watchdog of the lapdog." The media has practically become the lapdog of the government. I don't deny that fact. But even in that, whatever little freedom that we are given, we are trying to do justice to what we have been doing. But what I feel that the people with a better sense of law is there, then the government won't dare, as long as the Supreme Court and the High Courts are there to protect our rights. If the court feel that they can happy with a sealed cover and Atri Samhitas. I wrote an editorial on the High Court judgment on Media One. I said this is unacceptable. That is, one thing is, the basic thing that is unacceptable is that the High Court was happy with whatever the government gave in sealed cover. I have absolutely no judgment on that. They can very well order closure of Media One, but they should tell us. They should tell the Media One, we are closing you down, we are denying you license because of this reason. You have done this. They didn't do it. That's point number one. Point number two, the judge defined the role of government and national security based not on the Constitution of India, but on a document which has no legal sanctity. That riled me. So I said there are issues with both. One is that the court is happy with the sealed cover business. Two, the court bases its judgment not on the Constitution of India, but on an ancient document which has no statutory backing. So when the courts start behaving like that, then we have bad media. Make no mistake, if the courts are there not to protect the freedom of the media, then you will get very bad media. Very bad media means very bad democracy.
Sir, have you ever experienced anything like that in person, like in your career, when you have really wanted to shout out something out in the media, but then you had to face something which was really terrible, something that you remember even now, something like that? Like, if it's not too personal, would definitely love to hear it out, sir.
Every day. Why this story is when we have the editorial meeting, when we four of us sit together at about 11:30, and we decide the topic for the editorial. The editorial is something which is read by the person who writes it and the person who edits it. Nobody else. I don't think. Do you read your editorials? You don't know. But the people in the government read it. So certain topics are complete no-no. We just can't write about them. And then when the Home Minister of India speaks, that makes it to the page one. I used to wonder, why should he be on page one at all? So the undue importance given to people in government. This is not the case where we had a better and independent media used to be there. So our topic is that, again, this is an unending question. And I faced it every day. This question is there. But I still feel that if we can legally defend our stand, then I think that will strengthen journalism and journalists. If we can question the government legally, I think the judge who headed the Supreme Court bench on Rafale cases, sitting in the Rajya Sabha now, and we have a new Chief Justice, and he said you can't fish out this magic wand of security, national security, and shut out everybody. It doesn't work. So as long as the courts are there, I think the media will be a little more independent. The question is that's an unending question. Every day, every journalist is under pressure. Sometimes we bend, sometimes we don't. Those who don't will fold up one day or the other if we continue to be like this. I'm not very hopeful about the future of media in this country. Exactly the way I'm not very hopeful about independence and democracy, the future of independence and democracy in our country.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, what can be the role played by legal journalists in order to democratize our legal apparatus? And also recently, Honorable Speaker of Kerala Legislative Assembly has pointed out the need of translating the Constitutional Assembly debates into Malayalam in order to make it accessible to everyone. So, can the legal journalists play a better role in making these public spirited documents to the doorstep of the ordinary man?
Absolutely, I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. In most of the cases, why the administrators, the government, I'll tell you one more example. In last government in Kerala, they came out with a law. I don't know whether you remember. Maybe you may not have bothered to read about that. Medical admissions are a very touchy issue in Kerala. And there were two self-financing colleges, one in Kannur and one in Palakkad. They made admissions breaking the law. They made a lot of money. And the government, the same LDF government, brought out an ordinance to regularize the admissions of those students who were not eligible for admission as per the the law prevailing then. And they issued an ordinance, and when the health minister piloted the bill in assembly, I'd asked our correspondent to carefully look at the way they word it. Shailaja teacher, I have all respect for her, but she came and piloted the bill as if the government was doing a favor for children who were denied their just and legitimate admission into medical colleges. That was the way she presented it. I found it extremely difficult to get a copy of the bill because I knew that the government was breaking its own law, its own political stand. And the case went up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said nothing doing. This is against the law. This is against the Supreme Court verdict. You can't go ahead with it. I took it up and I wrote continuously about that. And the government had to, it's not because of what we wrote, it's because of against the law. Somebody went to the court and the court said nothing doing. They struck down the ordinance. The bill was passed. The governor never signed it into law. So it is still with the Raj Bhavan. The government did not dare asking for the governor's signature on that. What I'm saying is that such laws are passed without us knowing it because journalists don't do their job. Anybody with an idea about the law knew that this is against the Supreme Court judgment, this is against the law. So unless we, people with a sound legal backing, inform the people about the mischievous role the governments play, the people won't know about it. If they don't know, then the governments will continue to do that. I wholeheartedly welcome. Because now, one of my pastimes is to go through the debates of the Constitutional Assembly. It's there. It's a CAD. It's a website gives it in full. Every single sentence is an important document for me because judges say Constitution is the Bible, Gita, or Quran, or whatever. But to me, it's the most important document which we can find in India. So I definitely go into the making of it. It's a great move if the assembly translates it and make it available to everybody, because an informed public will be tough for the government agencies to fool. If the media in Kerala were to expose the misdeeds of the central government agencies, they wouldn't have gone with such nonsense and told the courts lies. The media did the other way. What they did was that they colluded with the agencies, and they never questioned what the agencies did. So, as you said, the more informed is the public, the more will be the more the laws will be followed by the government and the agencies. So, a better informed society is the key to sustenance of democracy. So I feel that making the Constitutional Assembly debates translated and available to everybody And on the constitution, on the law, people should know it. It's not only the people who legislate it, the people who interpret it or implement it. It is for the general public to get a real idea about how a law is drafted, how it is made into a law. Then only we can have an informed society. We have a thriving democracy. Otherwise, we will be living in a fool's paradise. We think that whatever the government does is right, whatever the executive does is right. Whenever because the Supreme Court, if you look at judiciary is corrupt. There are any number of judges who have said it publicly, especially lower judiciary, and it goes up to the highest judiciary. A part of it is corrupt. And the Supreme Court Bar Association has taken a very strong stand. I think in the last 6 months, I have seen its president or former president going on TV and saying that whatever the Supreme Court does is wrong. I don't remember exactly the instance, but there are plenty of experiences where the courts gave the law. Rafale case was one of the classic examples. Where the public were not informed. So a vigilant media is very important to ensure that the judiciary plays a fair game. Otherwise, it's going to be tough. So we'll come to the original argument. If we have better journalists with a better legal background, our reporting on courts, on executive, on legislature, everything will become better, and we will have a more informed society, and we'll have a better democracy. So that's very key. I feel that's very key. How long the journalists, media houses are going to welcome them is a question. That's a tough question. But I feel that people with the more the people with legal backing, legal background coming into journalism, the better for democracy, because we'll have a better informed society. I hope I answered you.
Thank you, sir.
Any other question?
Hello, sir. Good evening. Myself, Safi Mohan, Assistant Professor in Government Law College, Trivandrum.
Yep.
Sir, thank you very much for your excellent, meaningful speech. Sir, I have a doubt as a law teacher, because media persons are actually the persons who are working for the, they are actually the voice of voiceless, as I understood and from your words. But from data, there is a very disturbing fact that the India, the largest democracy in the world, is a dangerous place for media persons. At the same time, the Constitution Law of India, under Article 19 Clause 1A, media, the freedom of speech and expression includes freedom of press. So, what is actually the role of law students or legal fraternity to tackle the issue of journalists? Because of the reason that I think India is a very dangerous place for journalism.
No, there is nothing in the Indian Constitution which guarantees freedom of the media or of the press. Unlike the US Constitution, the first amendment to the Union, the US Constitution, is that the Congress shall pass no law abridging freedom of the press. We have nothing like that. But Article 19(1) talks about freedom of speech and expression of every citizen. That's enough, more than enough, because when Media One was denied the license, in a sense, the courts have interpreted Article 19(1)A as the basis of press freedom. But in the constitutional scheme of things, what the government has done was to deny license to the editor or of the journalists to speak their mind. So there is no freedom of speech for a media organization. The right to speech and expression is available only to citizens, not for organizations. Press is not a legal or constitutional entity, citizen is. So I would rather have a citizen right, not as an organization, because it is very tough for any government to abridge the rights of the citizens. It will be tougher for it to do that compared with restricting the rights of an organization. So the courts must come to the rescue of the press. If they don't, then we don't have free press. That's what I mentioned. If a media house, if the government feels an editor is doing disservice to society, or Article 19(1)(b), it lists the conditions under which this freedom can be restricted. So the government and the Supreme Court has made it very clear time and again that has to be a transparent process. The government cannot go to the court with a sealed cover and say we are denying these guys license because of these reasons, and the court says, okay, this is fine, we are happy with the sealed cover. Then such acts will end the idea of press freedom in our country. So you are right. It's a very dangerous place in India to be a journalist, not an immediate threat to our life or personal liberty, but our right as citizens to exercise the fundamental right to speech and expression guaranteed. So as law students, as lawyers, and as judges, people in the legal fraternity should put your foot down and say that any attempt to restrict the freedom of the press is not going to impact those people who are employed in those organizations, but it cuts at the very root of our constitution. So that is the way I would like the legal fraternity to come and fight for the press, because individually we may find our daily bread, but as John Kennedy said, when the rights of one man are threatened, the rights of every man are diminished. So if it can happen to Pramod Raman, it can happen to me, it can happen to you. So I find that Kennedy quote very apt. When the rights of one man are threatened, then the rights of every man are diminished. So this threat is there, and if a journalist is facing a threat, then make no mistake, every citizen is going to face that threat one day or the other. So it's our collective job to resist such forces and reinforce our democratic and constitutional values. So I'm very glad that you as law students and as a law teacher, you understand that threat. And I think you and your students, your colleagues, people in the legal fraternity will realize the threat, the real danger to our constitution, to our democracy, and I think that will make an impact. That will definitely make an impact. That's my hope, that's my wish, and that is the confidence with which people like me are working, that one day we will regain our freedom. India is not a joke. We have survived the worst. So I'm confident that the constitution will prevail, the fundamental rights will be back.
Thank you very much, sir. I have one more question, sir. I think you would have noticed the Vinod Dua decision. I think that decision is a very landmark judgment in the point of view of freedom of press and law relating to sedition. So, what is your opinion about that Vinod Dua judgment?
Yeah, I think the Supreme Court is going to. I think the Supreme Court has constituted a three-member bench to look at the larger issue of again. The Supreme Court said in the judgment, now I think it is in 1962 that the government said sedition can be speaking against the government also. I think that is under judicial consideration. I believe that the Supreme Court is going to take up that case again. And going by the way they told the government that you can't brandish national security as a ruse to deny people their fundamental rights. I think the government is going to. I mean, I think Justice Chandrachud said it when he was hearing a case related to bodies floating on the rivers in Ganga. He said, you can't slap sedition charge on people who report that. Facts are protected in our country. So I'm hopeful that the Supreme Court will come out and one day and say that you can't slap sedition charge on people who says inconvenient facts about the government. I think it's a landmark judgment. I think the Supreme Court has set up a three-member bench. It's hearing that case. The hearing has not come up, but one day it will hear. And my hope is that this article. I think it's 125 now. It's 125. That is sedition charge, which is being slapped on people. I think one day the Supreme Court will strike down that IPC section when it is used against individuals and citizens who criticize the government. That's my hope.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, after
My time
completion
is up. I think I'm supposed to end at 7. I'll take one more question, please.
Okay.
Please.
After the completion of my LLB, I wished to join for the PG diploma in journalism. But one of my relatives who currently works as a journalist suggested me that day by day in the current scenario, the attraction towards the journalism is vanishing. So please don't go for that. Just stick on to the law and just move on. I occasionally write features and articles in different online publications. So go on with that. Don't go for a PG diploma in journalism and just go on with the law degree alone. So what's your take on that, whether the attraction is getting vanished day by day?
I agree with you, because I did my MCJ in Trivandrum, University of Kerala, on the campus. At that point, that was 25. When was it? 30 years ago. At that point in time, that was a prestigious course. Now it is not. No, it's your uncle who told you not to pursue journalism. When my son, when he was doing his engineering, he told me that he has an interest in journalism. What about it? I said, practice it, but don't come to Kerala. I'll break your legs, because it's not worth in Kerala. There's an issue, because when I joined journalism, that was a very respectable profession. You go for a marriage, people introduce you as a journalist, and it used to be a respected profession. It is no more. Journalists pursue their own agenda, and it has become, it's not a respected profession anymore, at least in Kerala. Not all over India, definitely not outside India. Journalism is a respected profession all over the world. Though I know every profession runs into certain air pockets. That issue is there, but in Kerala, I have absolutely no respect for people of my profession. So, and there are, at the end of the day, it's a job also. There are very few organizations which pay decent salaries. So that's not a great idea unless you get a job in a decent newspaper or very few channels. Your life is going to be extremely tough. So
Hello.
I won't advise. I won't advise you to become to take up a job in any odd newspaper or website or channel unless you are assured a decent salary and consistent payment. Otherwise, it's not going to be paying. Now you have to pay your EMIs. I mean, at some point in time, you'll have to pay the EMIs.
Okay, sir.
Sir.
Yeah.
Sir, if you are to hire a lawyer as a legal journalist, what would be the traits you would prefer? And how is going to be how difficult a person to get a job and to change the domain from a lawyer to a legal journalist? So how can be the pathway? Can you just give us an idea about it?
If I were to recruit a lawyer as a journalist, I would definitely look at his basic understanding about rule of law. Because when we look at certain issues, I told you that I never studied law in a law college. I have good lawyer friends. Then when we discuss things, I used to say that there could be a law, something like this, and they'll refer and say that there is a law like that. Law is all about common sense. Common sense crystallized. It's very tough. So I look for somebody with a sound basis of the idea of rule of law. Then, once you have the idea of rule of law, then everything will fall in place. The constitution will fall in place. The law will fall in place. The rules will fall in place. And you know what is constitutional, what is legal, what is rule-based. You'll get to know it. So a sound understanding. I don't want you to know the sections or articles by heart, but I want you to know what is legal, what is constitutional, and what are not. So that basic understanding of the constitution, of the law, and rule of law, that is very important. And when it comes to practical terms, I think most of the media organizations have stopped recruiting people because like the market goes down, people are not hiring. I don't know people hiring, maybe Hindu hiring one or two people once in a while, Times of India once in a while. We might be hiring sometime later, but the scene is pretty bad. We are in a real tough time. The media business is in a real tough time. So that's not going to be an immediate opportunity for you. The way will be to for you to write, to continue as lawyers, but continue to write articles and have a good rapport with editors, and tell them that one day I would love to come to full-time journalism. And when you are offered a post, take it up. Continue to write. That's a good option, as you said. You continue to when you feel that there's a part to be explained, or the legal part to be explained. Talk to one of the editors and get your articles published, get noticed, and then have a good rapport with the editors and tell them that you are interested. Once you have a permanent job, don't go rush and take up because maybe editors they'll have one or two legal correspondents, and they'll stick. So the vacancies are very, very few in journalism. And if you have developed some other interests, then your legal backing is going to help you, because several of the leading anchors, we are not benefited by their legal background, but several of the anchors have a law degree to their in their biodata. So having a law degree will help you in understanding every single subject, whether it is economics, whether it is politics, whether it is history. Everything will have a legal angle to that. So, but join an organization which pays. Don't join. Don't go and join in an organization for the passion of it. That's not going to pay. That's not worth it.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
I think I have confused enough.
No, sir. You explained it well. Thank you.
Hello, sir. One more question. So, what's your opinion about media trial? Nowadays, media deciding who is the wrongdoer and how the
Absolutely.
crime convicted.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for asking that question. I
So,
tell,
so my question is that cool to decide media who is culprit before the final
it's
decision of a
not cool
court
at
in a
all.
democratic country?
It is not only, it is not only not cool, it's criminal. It is criminal. I think
So,
noise. Yeah, it's
how,
criminal
how,
for the for the
how
media
can
to
we
conduct.
defend it?
We can't. That's what I'm saying. We can't defend it. We can't defend media trial at all. Now, I tell every single journalist friend of mine an interview Ram Jethmalani gave to that lady. I forgot her name. Sagarika Ghosh. It's available in YouTube. I would like all of you to watch that interview. It's 8 minutes or so. Ram Jethmalani gave an interview to Sagarika Ghosh. There, he tells exactly the reasons why there should be no media trial. Simple reason. Now you go ahead with a media trial. The court is conducting a trial there. You don't have. We as journalists, we don't have access to the records, to the statements, to the details of the investigation. And we tell the people, I'll come to the simple instance. Now, the media has tried and sentenced Dilip. I am no votary of Dilip, or for that matter, any case. The media conducts the trial and hold someone guilty. And now the court, after going through the hearings, come to a conclusion. Either it convicts somebody or it finds somebody innocent. Now, what will the people think? If the media has already convicted him, the people will think that what is there for the court to decide? We know it because we have watched Asianet, we have watched Manorama. He is guilty. What is the court doing there? There is nothing special. We already know it. And if the court finds him innocent, we have this media told us that because of these reasons he is guilty and the court cannot find the right reason, and it is sending people free. This creates, the media trial create a prejudice in the minds of the people. That is real contempt of court. Court should really take it very seriously. It should not allow this kind of media trial because it vitiates the whole process of the law. No democracy allows it. I'm completely against it. And my reasons, I'm completely convinced about what Ram Jethmalani tells that lady journalist Sagarika Ghosh. It's available for anybody to watch. It's a Ram Jethmalani interview with Sagarika Ghosh. I think it's 8 minutes or so. He was really getting angry answering her. She was telling him he is guilty, and Ram Jethmalani retorts, "Who are you to decide whether he is guilty or not? It's for the court to decide. It's not for the journalist to decide and get some buffoon sitting on either side of the anchor and let them conduct a trial and pronounce people guilty or innocent. That's against the rule of law. That's against the judicial practices. That's against rule of law. I'm completely opposed to it. It's criminal. It should be banned. I think I'm clear.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I think I'm done. I think you are in for a new speaker. I'll return.
Thank you so much for. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
For the
I think a vote of thanks is being proposed. I accept that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for listening to me. I hope I made some sense to you. Thank you very much. See you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now let's welcome Advocate RASHEELA BASHEER ma'am.
Thank you so much. It was such an informative session with Jacob sir. I hope all of you enjoyed. I also did. And and first of all, thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity to speak before this LJRF forum again. And it's a pleasure to to work very closely with LJRF and watching LJRF growing, because the key people behind LJRF like Raniyal, Safi sir, everyone is very close to my heart. So thank you so much for this opportunity, Safi sir, Raniyal, and everyone. And yeah. So the topic assigned to me is the opportunities in legal journalism. So from uh, the topic legal journalism, as Jacob sir told, he very well explained the need for the need to place law with the mainstream journalism is very essential. It's a need of the time. So it's very important in the current situation. From an era, we are currently in a time where the mainstream media is hijacked. It's dominated by the trial by medias and commercialization, sensational news. So media is something which is important to develop public opinion. So what we need to do is we have to, as journalists, the main aim of journalists shall be helping the public to make an opinion. That should be just, fair, reasonable, that should serve the purpose of justice and the law. So this is how legal journalism is very important in the current situation. And regarding the legal reporting and legal journalism and the opportunities, uh, there was a time uh, the legal reporting was limited only to AIR, SCCs, and all the legal journals. So, if you ask me, I will say that legal journalism is a product of technology. Because that time when AR and SEC, everything was established, the judgments were passed after after a delay. It will take a couple of weeks, sometimes months, to report a particular judgments in official journals. So from that era, with the help of technology, now we are standing in a time where we have the access of judgments in our fingertips. So this is how I think having judgments, having access to the judgments, maybe one of the reason where legal journalism got introduced. Like we had Legally India, Bar and Bench, a few legal websites with us, and Live Law. I will say that they broke the path because of this technological development. Because that they made this legal journalism, judgment reporting, and legal reporting a common thing. They made it very they made it they gave access to everyone. So this is how the technology played a role in the legal reporting and legal journalism and all. So when you regarding my topic, opportunities in legal journalism. First of all, as you know, for being a legal journalist, you have to have a degree in law or a master degree in law with BCI approved any law institutes, like any law colleges. So, and once you have that, you can join with any mainstream media, any legal websites like Live Law, Bar and Bench, Legally India, Spicy IP. There are some specified legal websites also there, which is not for every laws, which is not covering every laws. There are some websites like Spicy IP for IPR, and some are focusing on company laws, corporate laws, and we have tax related websites are there. I own a tax news website. So there are specialized legal websites are also there. So so in this, you can join as editors, correspondents, reporters, interns. These are the career-wise, these are the opportunities with the legal websites. And mainstream medias also, they now hire a lot of people who have have the knowledge of law because sometimes the court, if you want to report a judgment real time, you need to go to the court and report it. So most of the people being who has not who doesn't have a degree in law, they cannot go to the court and report it. So if you are a lawyer, you can go and if you read a Live Law, there are some articles and columns where they report the day-to-day court affairs. So some mainstream medias, they also they hire lawyers as reporters, so we can have that opportunity as well. And when it comes to reporting, you know, with this I know it's an emerging career, but mostly vloggers, YouTubers, Instagram Reels, TikTok. That's also I don't know about what's happening there, but if you go to other countries, TikTok is a profession in some countries. They give license, especially like in UAE and all. In countries like UAE, they give license to vloggers. So it is considered as a profession. So if we have proper knowledge of law and all, you can do reels, you can make videos, and you can earn money out of that. So these are mainly the thing. And first of all, to be a legal journalist, you have to have a sense of law, like Jacob sir said, sense of history. It's a must, and you need to have a better understanding of what you are reading, whether it's a judgment, it's a law, it's a new law, it's whatever you're reporting. You have to know what is exactly the legal point is discussed in it. So you have to find out that. I think I should invite some questions so that this session will be a useful one. Any questions?
Ma'am, most of the time, first of all, good evening, ma'am. Pleasure to have you here. So, right to information and the paying of taxes, both of these have been closely associated, like from time immemorial, because people always want to know, like they are regular taxpayers, and then they always have this right to know what all things their tax is paid to, because no, in the, what do you say, with the title of building roads and bridges, taxes being paid, but ultimately we don't get good roads and bridges. So always people look forward to this right to information's strict application when it comes to paying of taxes. So ma'am, since you're from this taxation field, what is your take on that, ma'am?
Yes, RTI is for a legal journalist. RTI is it's a weapon. It's a weapon with you, which the law gives to you to use it well. So I would like to share something I did. I filed an RTI back in 2018 for GST celebration, how much the government spent. I filed an RTI, so they almost spent 100 crores for celebrations only. Just to celebrate what is GST. And the sad thing is that the GST system is still is still facing technical glitches, and due to that, most of the taxpayers in India, they are not able to process the refund. They are not able to process their returns. Nothing. So RTI is a very good weapon. It's a very strong weapon when it comes to legal journalism. And as lawyers, you have to know how to use it well and where to use it.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, one more doubt.
Yeah.
We are definitely talking about the opportunities in legal journalism. But man, I would like to know like which all media houses are hiring interns. Like during our internship tenure, if we can join some media stream, then I believe like once we step into the profession, it would be easier for us to fetch a job in the mainstream media. So which
TaxScan
are
is inviting interns, obviously. And if you search in Law Octopus, you will have a list of whoever you know about Law Octopus, right?
yeah,
So
definitely.
if you frequently visit that website, you will get to know who all are inviting the interns and all. And
No, ma'am, related to
otherwise,
journalism.
sorry.
Related to journalism, not
Uh,
internship as such, but to journalism.
for the legal journalism or journalism. That's why I
Legal
said in
journalism.
legal journalism, Law Octopus, obviously, any internships related to legal will be updated in that. And otherwise, you can go to every legal websites and send the editor your CV,
Okay,
or
ma'am.
search in or you have to thoroughly search in LinkedIn.
Okay. Ma'am, what
Yeah.
was your motivation behind opting legal journalism, or what gave you that additional push to, opt for legal journalism when journalists are actually having to face so many difficulties in the current scenario?
Legal, when I was a kid also, I always had a dream of being a journalist, but then I opted law. But this dream has nothing to do with TaxScan, because TaxScan, I found uh, a vacuum, a space where when I see the mainstream media, they only from the tax side, they only cover some sensational judgments like Vodafone tax case, so and budget only. And tax is an area which is very important to each and every citizen, I think, because we pay tax and we have to know for what we are paying tax, and we have to know what are the ways, and like how can we are as taxpayers, the people are unaware of the process, the refund process, and the judgments. They are unaware about the tax planning, and so I just wanted to make people aware of what is how they can plan their taxes, how they can avoid unnecessary tax burden, and obviously an academic tool for the chartered accountants, whoever practicing tax laws. So this was the motive. So I found a lacuna in mainstream, and I wanted to collaborate mainstream news and the academic side. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Ma'am, hello.
Yes.
Ma'am, I just want to ask you about how largely opportunity in journalism or legal journalism for a woman, or how small the opportunities are.
As we are lawyers, I don't think there are, as a woman, you will face challenges like in every other profession, every other area. But in this field of legal journalism, honestly, I never faced any difficulties or anything just because I'm a woman. Obviously, I'm facing challenges because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an editor, I get legal notices every day, I get defamation notices every day. So that is gender neutral, I think.
Yeah, ma'am. But I
Yeah.
just want to ask you about, as a woman, how the hardship that a woman have to face. Because when I completed my 12th standard, I said I want to pursue journalism, and everybody in the house was against it. And they said you won't have a life if you do journalism and all. But so I just want to ask you, what are the hardship as a woman you have to face in the field of journalism or legal journalism and all?
If you really want to chase a dream, if you really want to achieve something, the first thing you have to keep in mind is that you don't have to worry about everyone's opinion. You have to have that passion. You have to remind you about your dreams every day. So I think no others' opinion, their expectations, their all these burdens will not bother you if you really want to chase something very honestly, very truly.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Any other questions or
Ma'am, how long the media and journalists shape the public perceptions and opinions?
sorry?
Ma'am, how long the media and the journalists shape the public perceptions and the opinion?
I didn't heard that one word. Keep, you said keep. How long media and public?
Ma'am, how long the media and the journalists shape the public perceptions and the
Shape the public.
opinions?
That is what they are doing from the very beginning. If you have an opinion about any general issue, any current affairs, the larger contribution is from the media, right? From last day, I heard a news of killing a child by someone of his grandmother. So there is a very big. Sorry, I'll skip that. Regarding the latest actress issue, also, what is now happening is like a media trial, right? So public opinion, media has a very important role in shaping this public opinion and all. It is there from the beginning, and it will continue till the time the people get to know the real facts. Because as legal journalists, we don't go behind assumptions, whims, and fancies and sensations, right? So, if the people they know the facts which come from a primary source or an authentic source, then if they can publish it through the medias, obviously through this medias or any other mode of publication, then also I can't say that medias are the for the most important uh, mode of communication where the people can form their opinion and all. So what we need to do is we have to make it uh, like we have to modify that. Now we have to change that all these commercialization and sensational things and all. So if you can provide the facts, if you can provide a first quality information, the actual authentic information, then there will be a change, a positive change.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Is there any
Ma'am,
more
good evening.
questions?
Hello,
Yes.
ma'am.
Hi.
My question is currently legal journalists are having opportunity to work in online sites like Live Law and others, and Live Law too is facing difficulties to survive. So, students like me who want to pursue legal journalism as career hesitate to choose this. So, can we really scope for a better career in legal journalism in a wider range other than working on online sites and like that?
See, this is very from the very beginning, teaching was a very painful profession because the teachers they were not getting they didn't get paid well, even the lawyers. But the profession is still there, right? So legal journalism is an emerging area, and there are so many hurdles and so many difficulties which we are struggling now. So, but that won't vanish the need, the importance of this particular profession in this society. I don't think so. But just because you don't get paid well, that doesn't mean that that cannot be a profession. What I think is legal journalism. If you take 10 years, last 10 years, before that 10 years, there was nothing there was no legal journalism as a profession. You cannot say that. Now it is in an emerging area, and in the as years are passing, the need for the legal journalism will be increasing only. There will be a time where people will change their thinking, their thoughts, and people will need this more. This is how, and this depends on how the current legal websites or the current legal journalism is serving. Like if it's serving the purpose today, obviously tomorrow there will be a very glamorous career. There will be uh, a very useful career. I hope so in the future.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any more questions? Anyone?
Okay, I have a question for you to all. Uh, what is the difference between a legal journalist and a normal journalist?
Ma'am, a legal journalist will definitely have more knowledge in the field of law and will be more accustomed with whatever violations that take place in the media field and will be able to react or answer to it like very spontaneously. But at the same time, the journalist need not be so much aware of the laws or the protections that they have, because of which they might not be able to react that spontaneously when compared to legal journalists. That's what I feel.
Okay, okay, I'll make that question very specific. If you get a if I give a judgment to report to to a lawyer and to a normal person, what would be the difference?
The legal areas will be focused on more by the legal journalist because he'll be more aware of the laws. So whatever is the area of law associated with the case or judgment, that will be more highlighted when compared to that of a journalist who will be reporting everything in a very casual or not so legal.
Sure, sure, sure. So, what I wanted to explain is that when someone hires a lawyer over a normal journalist, what he'll be expecting that is that in a judgment, the lawyer should be able to find out the ratio decidenty over the obiter. If you give a normal journalist a judgment, what happens is he will take out all the masala things. Like the court said this, that, and all. And that one is for money making or for getting readers. He will not come to the exact ratio on the basis of which the judgment is passed. So basically, as a legal journalist, you should have that ability to differentiate this obiter dictas and the ratio decidenty. And while reporting things, you have to take care of all these things. Yes. So if my questions are done.
I think lawyers have to be into the field of journalism not because of their journalism skills, but to accurately report what the court says and to aware the public about what actually the court says and what court interprets.
Sure. So can we conclude this, Nia?
Sure. If there are no more questions or comments, we can wind up.
Sure, sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashi, for this session.
Thank you.
I think Krishna Priya is in charge of the vote of thanks. I invite Krishna Priya, please.
Is I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you, ma'am. With that, we come to the end of the first session of LJRF Voice Internship on Legal Journalism put forward by LJRF Voice. I take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude towards Sir K J Jacob, Executive Editor, Deccan Chronicle, and Madam RASHEELA BASHEER, co-founder and editor-in-chief of TaxScan Edutech Private Limited. I thank both of you for spending your valuable time with us and making this session more effective. We are very honored and privileged to have both of your presence here, sir. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Before
Thank you so much.
Before winding up, I would like to convey my sincere gratitude towards Sir Shafi Mohan, Assistant Professor, Government Law College, Trivandrum. Thank you so much, sir, for your unending support in this busy schedule. Next, I would like to thank the convener, Madam Raniyal, the Editor-in-Chief, LJRF Voice, and also I would like to thank the coordinator of the session, Madam Annu Baby, Editor, LJRF Voice. I thank both of you for providing us the wonderful opportunity. Next, I would like to thank all the coordinators and special mention to the technical team for their unending support and their tireless effort for the success of this session. Thank you so much for the other coordinators and the technical team. Last but not least, I also extend my heartfelt thanks to the participants who is the heart and soul of this program. Thank you all for being such a wonderful set of audience. Once again, I would like to thank all of you for your kind cooperation and patience. This is Krishnapriya M. taking a leave once again. Thank you all.
Thank you, Krishnapriya. Thank you, everyone, for joining. With this, we come to an end of today's session. We'll have the next session at 6 sharp. Don't be late. We won't be permitting you to join after 6:10. So please make sure that you're here. In case of any emergencies or any inconvenience, inform your supervisors beforehand so that we can ensure your presence. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Good night.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.